Listen only to the sound of my voice. Let your mind relax. Let your thoughts drift. Imagine yourself in a frozen forest.
Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Black Ops 3 realistic walkthrough. This is Mission 4, Provocation, and it is part 1 of 2. So you know at the very beginning, if you do not lay on your belly immediately in cover, you will die and have to watch the entire introduction to the mission again. Because you die so fast, the game didn't have time to checkpoint you. It's the most baffling bullshit I've ever seen. It's wonderful. And it happens all the time. It's one of the reasons why I think that they didn't go deep enough into this game on this difficulty balance-wise. Because they've obviously balanced it in some ways. You can take a bullet off of certain bullshit enemies that shoot you a ton. But in other ways, it's just ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make sense why those sections happen. Like, there's one bit, it's fucking wonderful. You're inside this ventilation shaft. You get to the cover, you hold X to breach it. He kicks the cover off, it hits a dude, you jump down, and before the game has given you a gun on the fucking screen, you're dead. And it killed me twice in a row, and then the third time, nobody shot me. It just doesn't make sense. That is a heavy, by the way. That is an enforcer, so get the swarm out there, and then shoot him in the face. But this gun I'm using right now, this thing has almost no recoil. It is straight up the ACR of this game. It has a little bit of kick every so often, you know, prolonged fire, but if you put grip and, you know, stock and all those extra accuracy attachments to this gun, it's going to be an absolute monster. I can see this being really good in the multiplayer with somebody who's got really good gun skill. Like, I can't see you rushing with it too much, but if you're playing the, you know, the head glitch spots and you know the traffic lines and the flows, you're going to do some damage with this gun. And speaking of multiplayer, I should really talk a little bit about it. I haven't gone public yet. What I like to do on Call of Duty, especially when they have the ability to do this. Remember when they had combat training and you could actually do fun things on a shit internet connection when you couldn't get online or you didn't have any friends to play with? I do, and they haven't brought it back. You know, you can just do private game now, which is clinical and boring, and there's no unlocks, there's none of the progression system, there's none of the fun of the multiplayer without the frustration of the connection and the terrible teams. Like, all of that is gone, so now you just have this clusterfuck of nonsense that's really disappointing, because I had high hopes for combat training and it never went anywhere. But what I like to do anyhow, is I like to play all the maps, and I like to at least mess with most of the guns and the abilities and whatever's new. Use the kill streaks, all that kind of stuff. I like to get an understanding of how the game works before I get thrown onto the online. And I do this because I only really have fun on Call of Duty when I'm winning. And it's a terrible mentality to have. Like, I want to win games, I want to do well, all that kind of stuff, and it's really tough to do that when you're not running with a party on these later games. On the earlier games, it was easy. Put me on COD 4, I could lead a lobby every lobby. Didn't need a good connection, I could do that shit on a 2-bar. Every game past that has been different because there's been more lucky bullshit, there's been more kill streaks in the sky, there's been more noob weapons that any motherfucker with a brain cell can use that just murder you in a second, that everybody goes towards, and I don't use out of some bizarre notions of pride. But I like to at least know what I'm doing before I go and start, you know, ruining my team type deal. Because I hate those people who don't know how to play, who end up on my team and do nothing but go, you know, 3-30 and we lose because of them. That's the type of shit I will never be in these games, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. And that way I can ensure that when I do play with humans, I'm an asset rather than a hindrance, and I'll probably get some games in with Hobo and Heretic and maybe some other friends, and I'm looking forward to playing when I can get some time. But I don't have the pull like I used to. It's this weird thing, like I think I'm over COD, I think I am, because I don't get that urge. And I played every single multiplayer map, and I used every submachine gun and every assault rifle. I used every kill streak. You know, I learned a lot about those specialist things, which I had no idea about because I've not been following this game, and some of those seem really interesting, and some of them are quite strategic. and I think it feels really fun. The movement's great. I don't think the maps are very good. There's like 2 or 3 that I thought flowed really well. The rest were just this fucking clusterfuck of avenues everywhere. Didn't like them at all. But for the whole, I think it feels like a really, really good COD this year, and I think it'll have good legs. But I don't get the pull to play it. And who knows, as soon as I jump in a party with some friends and we're having a laugh and we're winning and we're, you know, dominating teams or having really close, well-contested matches, maybe that opinion will change and I'll rekindle it. But it'll be really sad if that part of me that used to like playing these games online has died. Because I've definitely had the fatigue over the last few, and this one really looks like it's worth its salt online, and I just don't have that pull to try, which is annoying, really, when you think about it. But we will see. It's, I don't know, just, it's a strange feeling. Like the zombies as well. The zombies looks really interesting as well. I'm so glad that it's gone away from that weird bus thing. I did not like Transit at all. It just, to me, zombies is at its finest when there's a big room that I can kite and there's stuff to explore and discover, and it feels like a progression and it feels interesting. It doesn't have to be, you know, these super linear bus routes to places that every single time you think you've got a good spot where you could kite some dudes, there's like fire that slows you down, or there's a spawn bang where you are, or there's some bullshit to clip on. I think this one seems really, really different. And then there's the nightmare mode, which I had no idea what this was until last night. Because I was editing all these videos, and then I was rendering a bunch of things, and while I'm rendering, you know, my computer's busy doing stuff, so I thought I'll try out the multiplayer, I'll try out all the different modes, and I'll see what this game has got. It was quite late, so I just popped onto it, and Nightmare mode apparently is the campaign levels, but every enemy is a zombie. So all the soldiers are now zombified, and the machines are just the machines, and you play the level as you would in the campaign, but every normal soldier is now a zombie, and it plays really differently. And I have no idea what it is. Like, I don't know if there's a point to it. I don't know if you get out for doing it. I don't know. But it's cool that it's there, and you can do all of this 4-player co-op. So you can do campaign 4-player co-op if you want to. You can do the campaign where all the soldiers are now replaced as zombies if you want to. There's all these options for co-op. It's like, this is the best feature-wise Call of Duty in forever. This is the type of shit I've wanted since I began enjoying this series, but I just get this overwhelming feeling that it's a year or two late. Like, all these reviews where they're saying, you know, it's got this, but it's lacking or it's boring. And it makes me feel really sorry for Treyarch, because it's obvious that they've took the time with this and they've tried and they've added a lot of features to it, but COD is this Activision-fueled, you know, Ferris wheel of expectation and diminished returns. And at this point, I feel like the diminished returns and the general fatigue is hurt this game a lot. Whereas if this was released of its own thing, it would have got way more accolades. And I find it really fascinating that FIFA 9 million can get such great reviews. And like, to some extent, the new Halo, there were some really controversial differences in that game, and it's a very divisive game in general. But I think this does way more new than that does, and I really enjoyed that game. Like, I thought it was a fun Halo game. I'm not a big Halo guy, but I thought it was really, really cool, and some of the changes were really fun, some of them weren't. But when I was playing this, I felt like this nailed it, whereas I felt that Halo kind of missed it. Especially with the story. The story in Halo, I was really expecting more from it, and I just didn't get it. And maybe that's why I look on the story in this game so favourably, because of how disappointed with Halo's campaign I was when it came to the narrative. Because it just went nowhere. And this game does, and it takes its time to do that too, which is another thing I really appreciate, rather than, oh my god, we're flooded, oh my god, we're on fire, oh my god, there's an explosion, oh my god, we're on the moon. Like, it doesn't do that as much. It does, however, do when you do a level, you then have to get out, which I think is kind of stupid, because every single place you go to, it sets on fire and you have to run out of it in a hurry. And I don't think you need to do that every time, because it diminishes the value of that moment. And that definitely suffers some of those sequences when you're like, oh, here we go again, Michael Bay moment. That's something worth mentioning as well. This video was originally much longer than this, guys, but I missed a few deaths because it loads quite quickly, so editing them out is a little trickier. It's not as tricky as Halo, which I found very hard to find all of them, and I somehow let one past. even though I was pretty meticulous, and I commentated afterwards and didn't see it, which is really bizarre, but it just goes to show that your eyes can glaze over when you're talking. But on this game, you don't see a checkpoint all the time, so it can be very hard to tell when you're getting a checkpoint, and then you'll just have got one and not even realised, and I don't like that. I like knowing. And they were always very good at that in the other games. So I definitely see a couple of missteps as far as those mechanics go, but I just think there's a lot of really unkind reviews at the moment, and I'm glad, actually. I know I'm defending this game, and I will actively defend this game so far, because I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's a lot better in areas that people are criticising, and I think they were a lot less critical with Advanced Warfare and Ghosts. Like, even Black Ops 2 to that extent, I think they were a lot less critical, so it's interesting to see them now, you know, get on this game's balls. And I say I'm grateful and I'm happy because I think it's about time. You know, Activision didn't get a winner. And look at it objectively. Is the game bad? Hell no. This game has got ridiculous production values. It's a very competent shooter with several modes that are pretty much there to entertain anybody. A massive carrot-on-the-stick multiplayer that keeps you playing, a massive zombie mode that's great for friends, and co-op experiences up the arse. Objectively, this is a fully featured first-person shooter, modern military, futuristic-y game, and it does it incredibly well. It's hard to really say it deserves a 7 or a 6, yet some of these reviews are giving it that, which is baffling, but at the same time it's hopeful, because it means maybe we'll get some fucking progress. Maybe we'll realise that we need to do something different, and we don't have to keep pushing out a new game every year. Every 12 months, this grinding cycle of COD. Maybe that can go away for a while and we'll learn to appreciate it when it comes back as something new. Because that's kind of where we're at, and just to see this backlash that this game is receiving, even though, in my opinion, completely undeserved, is kind of interesting and fascinating, because it means maybe there'll be change. And you already know, Infinity Ward are working on a game. They've been working on it for 2 years. It's coming out in next November. And you know, the other people, is it Sledgehammer, Raven Games? I don't even fucking know who's working on them now. Bloody Little Chef have got one coming out next Tuesday. They're all working on titles, and this, one of the more deserving titles, is getting shit on. So it's really, really cool. In a horrible way. Like, I really do feel sorry for Treyarch. Not that it probably bothers them, because it's the whole quote that I've mentioned a few times, isn't it? Where if the public doesn't enjoy one's work, one must accept the fact gracefully. Which is true, but it's really fucking hard to do that. Because you put your heart and your soul and 3 years of your life into making this. There's a massive team that worked on it. You know, you've got this different campaign that goes a couple different angles to the old ones. You've got this zombie mode that's reiterating and expanding and giving you all kinds of crazy stuff. You've got all these great things. Watch this, by the way. This is where things get real bizarre. How this worked, I couldn't tell you. But it did. And then I teabag in because I'm like, I'm alive, I should not be alive right now. And you see that? That was a pause to show you it's on realistic mode. Because I'm like, have I somehow changed the difficulty here, or am I God? And the answer is true. I am Jesus himself. Oh, take a shot. I just survived a machine gun shot from that big Ed 209 thing. But I'm curious to see if my opinion of this game changes the more I play or the more time that passes. Because this is the campaign I've played the most now as well, out of all the last bunch. Because I had to, due to technical difficulties, and I still feel this sweet on it. So is it a honeymoon period? Will I be like, oh, this is a piece of shit like Ghosts when I look back on it? I don't know. But as it stands, I don't know why I liked it as much as I did. But I did, and apparently nobody else did. And it's this super weird thing where I feel like I'm on an island. And I don't mind being there because I don't really care what other people think when it comes to what I like. I just... really strange. There's going to be a weird transition coming up here, folks, because when you kill this machine you get a checkpoint, and when it loaded me in post-checkpoint after I died, the game was black and white. It was completely weird-ass monochrome, and then it populates the graphics. And I wanted to keep it in because I thought it was hilarious, but it's going to be jarring regardless. So, Ed 209s, very dangerous. They have rockets they can fire, they have turrets, and they also can be hacked. So that's pretty cool. There are a couple of cool abilities you can do with that monster. I say monster, that machine. It's going to happen now. See that? How weird was that? But this next push is busy. Not difficult, busy. There's a lot of robots. There's a lot of those... I think they're called... Are they called Cerberuses? I forget the name of them. These little walking turrets. There's a kill streak in the multiplayer that there is it. Little versions of him are walking around this area when you get in the back of it, and there's going to be a couple of those enforcers, so you want to be very careful, along with a whole bunch of robots. So Immolation is your friend here. Do you notice how I don't have my abilities? In the bottom right hand corner I don't even have a circle. That's weird. How weird was that? Why is it not there? Do you think that's a problem with the HUD? Is that something up with the game, or does it just do that? That's confusing. Because normally it's always there telling you it's ready, but now it's not. Maybe it keeps vanishing. This is really strange. I've not noticed that. Oh, nice little tip here. See the leaves? They're actually clippable. So it means that they give you way more cover than you think they should. Because for some reason foliage on these games is bulletproof, which I approve of. The ghillie suit would be God mode engaged, but we can't wear it. But once you get up here, there's a checkpoint. Up here is where the heavy's going to spawn. It's also where there's going to be two of those little motorised Johnny 5 arseholes. I do enjoy this gun though. It's incredibly accurate, but it's very weak. And even if you put FMJ on it, even if you put like long barrel to give it extra range, still feels really weak. But in a multiplayer where it's like a 2 to 3 bullet kill, probably doesn't matter. In a campaign, you feel it a lot more. But there's a nice resupply up here, so we can take our time. But that is the end of this video. It was originally 20 odd minutes long, but that was all the fucking deaths I missed. Goodness me. Thank you for watching. You take care now.